Well, hey folks, it's your favorite farmer here, Steve. On the 5th of July, I meant to do it on the 4th of July, but it just didn't happen. Too many other things to do. A real quick update here on the garden. And the reason is it is hotter than a Vermont wood stove. And I'm plumb tuckered out, so it's going to be a quickie, hopefully a goodie. Well, as usual, it's generally a mixed bag with any season. Probably the most disappointing is this herb garden. Now, I have replanted this twice, and I have virtually nothing coming up. And these are like tasty weeds. I think this is a fennel right here. Maybe another one. That's about it. So I've replanted it for the third time. What do I have to lose, right? And the thyme, that's a perennial, so that doesn't count. The garlic is doing okay, and the leaves are starting to brown here at the bottom, which means they're starting to ripen, so it won't be too long that we'll be able to pull those up and get them dry. But I think next year what I'm going to have to do is start these herb seedlings inside and transplant them. I don't know what's wrong because the soil's not that bad and they've had plenty of sun and water, but they did not want to germinate. Now, asparagus is in phase 2. Letting these things go to fern. There's a couple in there that I could cut and we could eat, but 2 or 3 spears of asparagus doesn't do you much good. And it's time to let them regenerate. We've had, I defeated the dreaded asparagus beetles, picking them off one at a time and cutting the asparagus when you're supposed to, and that seemed to get rid of them. But we had a new friend, I use that term loosely. You can see this netting that I've had to put up all the way around the area because somebody is coming in and just cutting off, just biting off these ferns. And you can see the results on some of them. Like that one's been nipped right at the top. That one there has been cut down in its prime. And if no ferns, no asparagus next year. So I'm trying to keep things out of there. I think it's a rabbit, because if it was a deer, there'd be so many footprints all over here you could pretty much tell. So I think it's a rabbit, maybe it's a gopher, but we have a secret weapon I'll show you later. And these the peppers are now finally starting to grow because it is finally summer. We had a very cold, rainy June, as we often do, and peppers don't like to grow. So now they're starting to take off. You can see some of the handiwork here. That thing's been eaten right down to the nub. So I scabbed in some more fence here. You can never have too much fence. And we'll see. Now the peppers that I transplanted and grew indoors, they are actually getting some fruit, that you can see. But they don't look right. I just don't know if this experiment is worth the trouble. You can see they're coming on, but they don't look right. And that's a shame because it was a lot of work. And the main garden, of course, the hot, humid weather that tomatoes love, I just cut off some of the non-productive suckers off of there. Hopefully they will not get the blight. And I'm going to start having to spray it with that potassium carbonate here pretty soon. But they're doing pretty well. I think one didn't make it, but I had an extra one. And the beans are going to start producing before too long. They're starting to come along. And the one thing that you can see, I don't know what the hell this weed is, but boy, there's a lot of it. And it's easy to pull up if it gets long enough, but when it's real short to the ground, it is a job. So the cucumbers, I just had the first cucumber that I could see right here, and usually they're a little bit further along, but like I said, June was so bad. This is the Mexican sour gherkins, and I hope we like them because I think we're going to have a lot of them. It's our one little okra plant chugging along, not doing too well, but I'm going to leave it there. We'll see what happens. And then down here is all the squash and the cantaloupe, and there's a pumpkin, and then the piece de resistance, popcorn. Doing okay. It's been fertilized once, and what do they say, knee high by the 4th of July? And I'm going to say yes. Most of it is, at least to my short knees. And one last thing over here, the tomatillo is this. He really likes it in this area. I've got one more, but he's pretty small. But this one, this will make a million tomatillas right here. So that's where it is. No produce yet, but it'll be coming soon. Here's the new secret weapon. It's called deer scram, and we'll see. I think that's optimistically named. It's mostly dried blood, and most critters, when they smell blood, they think of death, which I hope they do. And we're going to mix up with the other stuff that I was using. Had a completely different aromatic scent to it. I think they just got used to it. So we're going to mix it up, and I've got some ultrasonic and strobe lights coming to put down here to startle them off. And I think the key is just, you know, keep changing things up. When they get used to, they'll get used to anything. And once they do, they lose their fear. So I know that this isn't much of a video. I was really counting on Good Morning America coming here. They said they were coming to the area, but I think they got tied up in Chagrin Falls with popcorn and ice cream, probably made themselves sick. And I got a late call, said, you're just going to have to shoot your own video. So sorry for the brevity, but have a good one. We'll catch you up when there's something worthwhile to see.